Yo, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Two Dimes and a Token. I am one of your hosts, Brooke Nasty, and in this particular episode, I don't remember what episode it is, but we're getting up there, guys. We're moving along. We're almost at a year that we've been shooting episodes, so thank you guys so much. First, before we dive into that, thank you guys for supporting. Thank you for watching. Thank you for loving the content. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following. All the good shit. We appreciate you guys so much. We love you. I can't tell you enough how much we talk about some of the comments you guys leave when you guys tell us about your spice of the week. We love that shit. It makes our day. It's super awesome for us. So thank you guys for helping us with the platform. Let's continue to ride the wave. Let's continue to push beyond what we thought. Let's continue to push beyond the limits, baby. Let's get this to a top 5 podcast in the entire world. That's our goal, baby. We want to provide content for the rest of our lives. We want to provide amazing podcasts. We want to provide great stories, and we can't do it without you. So we appreciate you. We love you. On to the next. This episode here features a phenomenal human being, and you've heard me say that a lot because every single one of these people are that I say it. This man, his name is Dan the Man Lafleur. He is a SWAT officer, is a law enforcement officer, also trains in part-time doing SWAT. And we brought him here because I actually played football with him a long time ago during the collegiate days. And he is an awesome guy, truly amazing. I thought he could give us a really good insight on what it's like on a day in his life, his story, his journey. You know how we do on this pod. But he had some amazing stories to tell. He had an awesome journey to tell. There was some ups and downs in the story. There was some ebb and flow type deal. Like I said, his stories and his journey was truly incredible. It was very eye-opening, especially considering the issues that everybody here knows about over the past 6-7 years when it comes to the difference between the public and working in and around law enforcement officers. We have a pretty strong stance on it. And we talk about it in this podcast as well. So Dan was able to give us a lot of insight, some really good words of encouragement, some awesome ideals that him and his fellow officers live by as far as serving and protecting. And I think take a little bit of time. He has a really great message that he puts out. He says, hey, some of us, it is what it is. This is a job. And we know that some of us may never go home from this job. But a large majority of these guys do it out of selflessness, and they do it to protect the people around them, and that's a passion for them. So I love to hear it, man. And as I said, he's an awesome guy. We also get into some funny ass stories, which are pretty hilarious. We had to bleep some things out, but it was quality, top-notch comedy at its best, and I know you're absolutely going to love it. So I think that's the episode we have. Lastly, make sure you guys go in and subscribe on the YouTube, right? Go in the comments right now. Write down, tell us your spice of the week. Let us know, right? We do want more activity in that area. So please go into the comment section, even on some of the clips, right? In the socials. Go to IG, go to Facebook, go to TikTok, go to all of it. Tell us what your spice of the week is. We want to know what it is. So please write the comment in there. Let us know. Engage in some conversation. Let's get it going. And lastly, make sure if you haven't, check out our newest merchandise store. It has shirts, $12 a shirt. We have some mugs, we have some shot glasses, we have all kinds of things. Courtesy of Esther Cyrus Designs. Big shout out to them. Thank you so much. And without further ado, let us check out our episode with Dan the Man Lafleur.
Do trees poop? But do they though?
I don't know, do they?
How do we get number 2 pencils?
That might have been one of the coolest dad jokes I've ever fucking heard.
Oh, dude, I crush my kids with dad jokes. Like I purposely look them up just to like tell them, and most of the time they're just like,
yeah. Holy shit, dude, that one fucking killed me, bro. So, Wow, dude. I was not expecting that on the jump. Anyway.
Sorry.
No, that's great, dude. That's phenomenal. So what an introduction to the podcast, bro. So tell us, dude, what is our drink of the pod?
All right, man. So, well, with work and stuff, I got to try to be healthy.
Yes.
So, also, we're older now, bro. So, like, our metabolisms are, like, tanking. At least for me, it is. Along with my hairline. Like, it's gone. I just shave it now.
I was going to say, dude, look at me.
Bad. Yeah. I got gray in my beard.
Bad.
Yeah. So, honestly, my wife, Christine, got me into, like, hey, vodka has lower sugar, lower calories intake. I'm sure there's sugar in everything. No matter what you drink, your body turns it into sugar. But she was like, hey, why don't you do seltzer water? And I was like, fuck seltzer water.
Dude, it sucks.
Like, seltzer water is terrible. I can't drink it. I can't drink it. Well, now I can drink it. I can't drink like a virgin seltzer water. So I started drinking like vodka and club soda, right? So from there it transitioned to like, all right, let's need some flavor. How about some lime or lemon? I can make it taste like a Sprite. Yes. Well, I started liking it. So I was like, it's refreshing. I don't feel like too dumpy in the morning. You know, at a night of binge drinking, you know, your Busch Lights and your Four Locos and stuff, and you're just like, the next morning you feel like the abominable snowman, right? So she went to the liquor store one day, and usually she was just getting up like this sugar-free vodka, whatever, Svetko is what it was. Yeah. And the guy's like, hey, let me show you something. So he shows her this stuff called Monkey in Paradise. And since then, it's been like the smoothest vodka that I've had. So I use it with seltzer water. Usually it's those polars, those raspberry limes. Yeah. I dump a little bit of lime juice in it to begin with, and then mix it from there. And it's been a staple, dude. It's been a staple.
I'm not gonna lie. You're slowly convincing me.
Yeah.
The first sip I took, I was like,
you can drink it in the sun.
Yeah.
In the sun in the summer. It's refreshing. You can drink it at night. 2 or 3 of these, man, and I'm
feeling great. I'm feeling like I belong here, baby.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you.
That's what I'm saying, man. Dude, that's like I said, when I saw you make it, I was like, hey, you know what? You're here and you're here for good reasons, man. We're here to make a great podcast, and I'm going to drink the shit out of this thing, and it's going to be good. Yeah. Then I took the sip, and I was like, it's actually pretty good.
It is. I used to be like a strong Captain and Sprite guy.
Oh, yeah.
Beer, I could do any beer any time of the day, anytime, right?
I got 25 IPAs in my small fridge.
I have a kegerator at home on the back porch. There's sweet water in it right now.
Oh, wow.
But
nice.
But my wife turned me on to that. I used to be Busch Light, Natty, like just college beers. You know what I mean? Things you can afford at the time.
Yes, dude. $9.99 for an 18-pack of cans.
Jokes on you, NCAA. Now we can actually like get money and buy good beer.
Eat shit.
Yeah, dude. So I was Captain and Sprite for a while, but I would just feel hangover's a hangover sometimes, but I would feel horrible the next day. Yeah. Also, I'm convinced that I fell asleep on my back 3 times on Captain and Sprite, and that's how my wife got pregnant all 3 times.
Every single time.
She just took advantage of me. Yeah.
Holy shit.
She's going to hate that I'm saying this out loud. Whatever.
That's awesome. Listen, hey, some of us are victims, and we need to voice this, okay? That's what happens.
Men can be victims too.
Exactly. Yeah. So, dude, I want to dive into your story a little bit. So I want to go through the childhood a little bit. Tell me where you grew up.
Okay, so born in Broward, specifically Pompano. Lived in Pompano Beach for a little while. Me and my mom lived with my aunt and uncle and my 2 cousins. Yeah. My mom who's technically my stepdad, legally adopted me. Probably when I was about 6 or 7, we moved up to Port St. Lucie, Florida. So from there, we moved to Martin County. I went to Martin County High School, Hidden Oaks Middle School, Martin County High School. I played baseball and football growing up, and it kind of led from there. I'm not too far away from there now. I'm in, Fort Pierce, which is St. Lucie County, just the county north of Martin County. So I didn't go too far away from home at all, but
yeah. Okay. And like you said, you're a big sports guy. I know this,
huge,
obviously.
Yeah.
And so everybody knows we went to Weber together. Sky was one of the best QBs I ever played with.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
by
that.
far. And toughness was off the fucking charts, bro. I was saying it earlier.
Or stupidity. But, yeah.
First comment he says, that's why I forget everything. So you need to save my brain for CTE.
Yeah, dude. I tell my wife all the time. She just rolls her eyes, but
like it's a legit thing.
Yeah.
So here's a serious question. How many times did you lower your head during your collegiate and high school career and just fucking go all in?
Man, Well, the honest answer is more than I can remember, but probably honestly every hit you go to take or every hit you go to give, the blows, man. There wasn't a time where my head wasn't. It's almost impossible to miss. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
they literally tell you growing up, and I know you got this as a lineman, hat on hat.
Yeah,
right. Just
absolutely, bro.
Head in the chest, face in the chest,
right there.
like just
use your head.
Right? Yeah. So, and there's a few times where you don't see it coming, and you get in the ear hole, and it's you're ringing for a little bit. But I specifically remember one hit in high school. I was a junior. We played Palm Bay. And they had a linebacker by the name of Raymond Buchanan. He went on to play for the University of Miami.
Yeah.
And I had dropped back. I stepped up in the pocket. I completed the pass, but he stuck me under my chin strap. It's probably the hardest I've ever been hit in my lifetime. I could not open my mouth for probably 20 minutes. I was in the huddle like a ventriloquist.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, it was bad, dude. It was I didn't tell nobody. I didn't make a big scene about it. I thought I broke my jaw for a minute.
Yeah.
Like I was, dazed and confused for a little bit, but that's probably the hardest hit I've taken standing in the pocket, at least. Yeah.
So that was like the Kerry Collins effect. Remember when he broke his jaw in the NFL? That's that's
didn't even see it coming. It just kind of he snuck in there, man. Shout out to Raymond, bro. Thanks.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah. You started this.
There you go. Yeah. So what year did you graduate college?
So I actually left Weber after 2 years, and I finished my 2 classes of my associates at Indian River State College in 2009, 2010, something like that.
We interrupt this podcast to bring you Sunterra Solar Solutions, a leading edge solar company committed to making sure they provide a phenomenal experience to its customers. Going solar was one of the best decisions that I ever made. Not only did they provide me a no-hassle experience, it didn't feel like a sales experience. It felt like an amazing person-to-person having a conversation on whether solar was going to be right for me. I was fortunate enough to not only lower my monthly energy cost, but they gave me an option to be able to create a stabilized monthly bill that I could prepare around. I qualified for a new customer incentive that put cash in my hand after installation, as well as I qualified for a tax credit at the end of that same year after I had it installed. All in all, not only was it the best decision I ever made, I lowered my monthly energy costs, I stabilized my bill, I put a ton of cash in hand. It felt like I got paid to go solar. And my most favorite part that I haven't even mentioned, it eliminated my exposure to future increasing rates from the utility companies. So if you think going solar is the right thing for you, by all means, hit us up in our DMs. We can connect you with a sales associate today. And now back to the episode. Sweet, dude. So 2009, right? What's the first thing that you jumped into after you got done with school?
So obviously, I played baseball and soccer and football growing up. In high school, it was mainly baseball and football. So I immediately was like, hey, I want to coach football.
Yeah.
Which correlates to a big part of my life now. But I was like, hey, I want to coach football.
Yeah.
And I was like, how can I coach football? Well, in the state of Florida, you got to be a teacher. So I was like, is that me?
Maybe.
It is. Deny. Sorry. So I was like, hey, nice. I was like, hey, let me take some teaching classes. And I don't really have a problem with public speaking.
Yeah.
I am a shy guy at some point. You'll never see me out if I was single. You'll never see me out at a bar walking up to random girls.
Yeah?
No, dude, I don't do it.
Dude, that's so funny, man, because obviously it's different. It's different when you're with the boys.
Yeah, but
and
even
when we were playing ball together, especially being at Weber, bro, you have a natural leadership mentality.
Thank you.
And you were very vocal, especially when we were on the field, bro. So hearing that, it's kind of surprising, to be honest.
Yeah, so on the field's different, man. I can't explain it. I can't explain it.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm an extrovert I'm an extrovert in life, but I'm a super extrovert on the field.
Yeah.
Which it was like that in high school. During the game, I have to be vocal at some point because I'm playing quarterback. But during the game, I'm a little vocal. The pre-games, I don't say a word. There's nothing to be said.
Yeah. You just go.
Just eat the day. My coach used to say, I had 4 different coaches in my 4 years of high school, but my last coach, Chuck Kenyon, used to say on like Thursdays before the Friday night game, no one would talk. I wouldn't say a word. Like he'd be like, why don't you talk? I'm like, Coach, there's nothing that needs to be said. I'm just focused. I have to remember what 10 other people are doing every play. So I'm focusing. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like they'd play music and get hype in the locker room. That wouldn't be me, bro.
And you're the guy's chilling. You're like,
I have my headphones in and I'm listening to like some like R&B or something just to calm down because I have to pay attention to everything going on. So it was definitely different. Yeah. But going back, I was like, man, I want to be a teacher. So I'm taking these teaching classes. Yeah. And this is, I mean, if this doesn't explain it all. So I'm literally in class, and part of the reason I went to Weber was I wasn't the best student, right? So like I didn't have the grades to get into some of these bigger schools. So I was like, eventually it hit me. I was like, man, I can't stand sitting in class. Yeah. I can't stand being behind this fucking desk. Yeah, dude. How am I going to do that for the rest of my life just to be able to coach football?
It's tough, bro, because we have a lot of buddies that ended up doing that as a career, and you see him on the game day pictures, and you're like, that's dope.
So Jared Mitchell, my old roommate, coached football. Shout out Jared, he best roommate ever. He didn't pay me to say that, but
so side note about Jared too. He was one of the first calls I got after we started the pod.
Yeah, I actually texted him yesterday. I was like, hey man, I'm heading up to Lakeland tomorrow to do this podcast. I don't know how long I'm going to be there, but I felt bad going to Lakeland and not telling you. Yeah, because our stories kind of are similar. He's from Broward. I'm from Broward. It was just weird the way we met. Yeah. And that's a story we'll get into a little later.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so I went from wanting to be a teacher, and I was like, I cannot do this, and I got to figure out something else. So that's kind of how it went, and I'm kind of glad it worked out that way, to be honest with you. Yeah.
I can see that.
So, I mean, we'll see. I got plenty more years.
What's the next steps? Like, when do you first get into, because I'll be honest, I don't know any type of steps that it takes to go into any type of police or anything
Great question.
That. So what's the next step?
I mean, you and I are friends in college. In no way, shape, and I tell everybody this, they don't believe me. In no way, shape, or form would anybody that knew me in college or high school be like, this guy's going to be a cop.
Nah.
Like, no. I flat out, my work knows it's all in the application. Yeah. But I'm like asking around like, hey, when's that drug test coming? Like, yeah. like bro, it happens, right? Yeah. So I kind of fell into it, right? So I was a camp counselor at the YMCA with like kids and hanging out and doing that thing during the summertime. And then when school came around, it was aftercare. And I was able to do the aftercare stuff because I was going to school during the day. So by the time I got off, the kids were getting out of school, I would just go there and just be almost like a counselor, right? Yeah. And I love kids. So it kind of went that route. And that bought me the time to go, what do I want to do? I'm 100% not living at home for a while. What do I want to do? How can I get this started? So that facility I was at with the YMCA had a skating rink in it. So every Friday night there would be skating rink for the kids, and I would play music on my laptop and like just kind of hang out and have fun. And it was worked by Stewart PD. They had like a detail there, like an off-duty detail. So the cops would come in and just work it for extra money. Yeah. So I got to talking with them, and some of the stuff they were telling me, I was like, man, that's really cool. Like that's awesome. Like every day's different. You're not under the same, fluorescent lighting every day like you are in a classroom. It's not monotonous. You're outside, you're doing things. So I was like, man, let me look into this a little bit. So my uncle, he's retired now, but my uncle's a retired firefighter paramedic from Broward for like 30 something years. And my aunt was an RN down there in the hospital. So I did a ride along at the time he was still working. I did a ride along down there with him. Yeah. With the fire department. Mm-hmm. And I got to be honest, dude, like I was bored. Yeah. Like I got a bunch of firefighter friends, man, but I don't know how y'all do it. I was bored. Yeah. Like, even in Broward.
If there's not a call, then they're just
hanging out. Some of them work out. Some of them watch movies. Some of them make dinner. Some of them.
So, and just to clarify, I think because some people may not know this, I don't know this is why I'm asking. So, in a firefighter routine, aren't you like there for like 48 hours?
Yeah, you're there for 20. Well, the way the schedule works, to my knowledge, right now is 24 hours on, 48 hours off.
Wow. So,
and then they have a Kelly Day built in. Man, I'm telling you, these losers only work like twice a month. I'm telling you.
I love how he dies. These losers.
Yeah, it's out of jealousy. I'm so jealous. But,
that's fantastic. So you're going on the ride along. You're like, bro, nah.
Yeah, it's just not for me. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't like being stagnant. So I don't like sitting around. Idle hands are my worst enemy. I got to be doing something. You know what I mean? And if it's not, if doing something by bare minimum, driving around, and that's what law enforcement does. So they don't just drive around, but for the most part, their day in their car is like their office, and they every 100% every day is different.
Yeah.
So I was like, how do I do this? And then I realized our local state college, Indian River State College, has a police academy. So it's a 6-month program if you go full time, and I pulled all my money out of savings and slapped it down and paid for it, man. And
wow,
kind of went down.
You have to pay to be in there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
So these larger agencies that you see on like like LAPD, they have their own little thing.
Yeah.
So for our jurisdiction or area, so to speak, Indian River State College has a police academy. It's about 6 months long, full time, and you get people from Palm Beach, Martin County, St. Lucie County, Okeechobee, Indian River, Sebastian. I mean, all over.
Yeah,
they come from all over. They go through this 6-month academy, which is your basic FDLE requirements, and some other stuff built in. They learn how to shoot guns, properly drive a patrol vehicle. They learn law, the basis of law.
Yeah.
Right. So law's always evolving. So
I'd say there's different precedents being made every single day.
Yeah,
all different types of
so
shit.
you got to stay on top of it. But and then from there they'll apply to an agency. At the time that I went through, they weren't sponsoring, they weren't hiring.
Yeah.
So it was like a dog eat dog world. Really, you had to like make yourself known that like you were a good hire, a good pick.
So, and again, zero knowledge about any of this shit. So sometimes I relate it to just fucking television. All right.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
you see, like, because I fucking love the television show SWAT. Like, I love it. Fucking
Actually,
Hondo,
I've been watching it lately too, just out of pure boredom. Like, I need to go to bed. What can I watch? I just turn that on and.
Dude, I'm telling you, I can't remember that dude's name. The guy that plays Hondo, bro.
Like, Shamar.
Shamar, something like that.
Something
yes.
like that?
Either way, bro.
Cool.
Listen, he's the third most sought after thing in America. If you've seen the podcast, there's always 3. Number 1 is money.
Yep.
Number 2 is Keon because he's dark skinned.
Okay.
With abs.
Okay.
Number 3 is your boy. All right. There it is. So in that show, though, the reason I relate is there's a ranking system in the show.
Yeah.
And I assume there's got to be something like that in real life so that you can separate yourself.
Well, yeah. So it's like that everywhere. So every law enforcement agency, just without talking about SWAT, they have like their officers or deputies. Yeah. And some agencies, like it's big up north, like their detectives are on a higher scale, so to speak. Okay. Then you have detectives. You have some agencies have corporals, which would be like their FTOs or their trainers. They're just below a sergeant.
Okay.
So if the sergeant's out, the corporal would take over essentially.
So is a lot of it like the same military names that you would have, or is it different for every department?
Yeah. You know what? I wasn't in the military. I can't really tell you for certainty, but I would venture to say that you could correlate it all. So then you have sergeants, like in my agency, you have sergeants. We don't have corporals, so you have deputy or detective. Yeah. Then you have sergeants. Then you have lieutenants. Then you have a captain. Then you have majors. Then you have a under sheriff or a deputy chief deputy. Yeah. And then you have the sheriff who's elected.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
On the SWAT team, you have just your operators, dude. They could be anywhere from detectives, deputies, sergeants, lieutenants, and then you have your assistant team leader, which is what I am, and then you have your team leader, and then your commander.
Wow. Okay. So what year did you graduate from the original police academy that you got in?
2012.
Damn. So
yeah, tell me about it. Goes fast, man.
No, dude, I'm old. So how long did it take for you from the moment you graduated? Because like you said, you were in a position where you got to separate yourself from everybody else. How long did it take you to get on with an agency?
So right before it ended, probably couple months. I tried to time it pretty well. 3 months before I knew the academy, before I knew like our graduation is this day.
Yeah.
I started throwing out applications, right? I stayed away from Martin County. I really didn't want to work in an area that I went to high school in and knew a bunch of people.
That'd be tough.
A great agency. I just kind of stayed away from them. So the first agency that picked me up is who I went with. It was Fort Pierce Police Department. And they picked me up probably, I graduated in February of 2012, I think. And then March or April, I was working.
Yeah.
So yeah, but honestly, what helped me stand out at the time was on my resume was probably like I worked with kids. They like to see community engagement, and the athletic background. To be honest with you, I was in much better shape then too. Like, but I if I was looking at a resume, I would see athlete and then community engagement, like worked with kids, and I would see that and go probably decent.
Yeah.
Let's start putting them through the process, right?
Yeah.
And then in the process is kind of long. You have to do like the initial application, then you go to like background checks, then they put you through like a little like lie detector test, and then you go to some psych evaluation, which I got to be honest, the guy that does the psych evaluation is probably crazier than all of us.
What makes you say that?
It's just he doesn't like show you ink blots and go, "What's this?" But like
it's not like the movies.
Yeah, so I've actually been to that same guy a few different times. The one to get hired by the sheriff's office that I work for now. Yeah. And then other times as part of the process, if something happens at work and they gotta go to that, make sure you're mentally good. Yeah. And he just, I don't know, there's just something about him that makes the hair
when they're asking the questions,
neck, they just goes, something ain't right.
You're just like, maybe I should ask you this.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
That's dope. So obviously, like huge detail, a lot of steps involved in going into this. So what year did you start when you got into? Well, how many years did you spend were you patrol or were you?
Yeah, so with the city of Fort Pierce, and I don't know if you're familiar with Fort Pierce. So Fort Pierce is within St. Lucie County jurisdiction. So within St. Lucie County, we have Fort Pierce and Port St. Lucie, essentially. Yeah. Fort Pierce per capita, if you look at it that way, is religiously one of the top 10 most dangerous cities in Florida, like religiously. So that was different. I don't want to say different, but that made it a little more interesting, right? Yeah. But I did about just shy of 2 years in Fort. I shouldn't say I did. That sounds like prison time. Yeah. I worked for just shy of 2 years in Fort Pierce before.
Big difference between that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Listen, I met a lot of people that I worked with over there that are still there and they're phenomenal. I would run into a fight with them at any time. Yeah. Right. But at some point, push came to shove, and I had to do what was better for me. So I just jumped to the sheriff's office that's in the same county. Yeah. That's all. A little more room for it's a bigger agency, much bigger. Yeah. More room for advancement, whether that's horizontal or vertical, however you want to look at it, and kind of kept my head down. But in Fort Pierce, I was a patrol guy. And I was on their SWAT team for about a year.
Oh, so you pretty much went in patrol and then you kind of jumped right into SWAT.
Yeah, there's a tryout portion of it. But after 6 months in Fort Pierce, they opened up the tryout to a few of us. So we took it.
We interrupt this episode to bring you Joe's Backyard Barbecue, a delicious, amazing, gourmet type backyard barbecue meal with the most amazing service and the most amazing person that you can have at the helm, cooking those amazing ribs, the amazing brisket, and all the wonderful spices and barbecue sauce that you can imagine. So if you're in the Lake Worth, Florida area, make sure you go and see your boy Joe at Joe's Backyard Barbecue. And now back to the episode. All right, so on the tryout, right, like you go through the process. I'm assuming probably a pretty exhilarating process as far as physically and endurance wise and strength wise and that type of thing, right?
Yeah. I just turned 34 and I still correlate everything back to team sports, back to football. Yeah. So the process it's a tough process, but at that time in my life I was still in pretty good shape from college. And I actually was playing a little semi-pro or minor league football back home just to keep running around, man. I just felt like I still wanted to run around, and that helped. But Fort Pierce's tests were based off the Cooper Clinic, so that's like a 1.5 mile run, sit-ups, push-ups, 300-meter sprint, 100-yard sprint, dummy drags, things like that. It's all timed, and it's all based on gender and age.
Damn.
So it's scalable. So if you're a younger male, it's harder. So I mean, it was a little difficult.
Yeah. So now, obviously, you said you've moved over. Now you've been in SWAT for how many years?
So about a year in Fort Pierce, and then at the sheriff's office. I've been at the sheriff's office since January of 2014, and I've been on the team since July of 2014. So what's that? Almost 10 years?
Yeah.
9 years?
Holy
just over
shit,
9
dude.
years. Yeah.
That's a lot.
10 years total on a team.
Yeah. And you're in a relatively active county. I mean, you have some big places that you kind of go.
Yeah. So our operational tempo is increasing because I think it's because of the influx of people we're getting moved down here.
Yeah.
But we're not as busy as like those Broward guys. I got some buddies in Broward, man. Shout out to those guys.
Yeah.
They are constantly getting after it. Like
really?
they're constant. They have like a full-time team, man, that are constantly working. We're not full-time at my agency. We're part-time. We all have other assignments that we're assigned to.
Yeah.
But man, those guys, there's other agencies around the state and even around the country that are just full-time teams. They're just they're balls to the wall. Like,
really?
Yeah. So we're blessed in a sense that we're not overly. I would like to increase our operational tempo just because it helps us get better, right?
Yeah.
You can only train so much. You can only practice so much before the game.
Yeah.
And then games make you realize, all right, I need to fix X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people when they don't realize like where it kind of hits a little bit home in this particular game that you guys are preparing for, like terrible things can happen.
Yeah.
And not to mention just with the people that may be involved at the time, but to the people that are trying to protect everyone overall. So I get where you're coming from in that. So like in basically you've done this for 10 years now. Like has there ever been any type of like kind of second thought process? Because let's be real, like what you do is it's difficult. Number one, because you do have a family. Number two, you know, it can be stressful on the brain, especially when you're going through some type of those motions and things start to build up. Like that can be very stressful.
Yeah.
So have you ever thought about ever getting out of that line of work, or is this like, this is my passion?
Yeah, man. So I'm sure my wife would love for me to get out of it, but I can honestly say that as long as I can do the job, I'll probably be in it. And I do have moments, and usually it's after the fact.
Yeah.
Right. So in the time it's all instinct. Right. So, and it's different for everyone. Yeah. So you have some guys that are a little hesitant that you can tell right away. Those are the newer guys. They're just getting into this kind of area and they haven't experienced some of the things that the older guys have. But I experienced that stuff young when I was in Fort Pierce. Like, it's so hard to explain. Even on the road, even working the road, like you're on a traffic stop and the block over, there's 30 gunshots that go off. Like and what do? You just hand the license back to the person you just stopped and go, see you later. And you just go that way. Like it happens.
Yeah.
There's people in other agencies, they don't experience that stuff all the time. Yeah. So there's definitely a difference there. And then when you correlate it to like a SWAT aspect of it, there hasn't been any time where I'm like, no, I don't want to be here. Yeah. And part of that goes back to football, but it's the team. It's the team thing. Like, I'm here. My guys are here. I'm here.
Yeah. No, I can feel you on that, man. Because that's something. You're right. When you have that team camaraderie, like you start to look at those people like, hey, okay, this is my 4 brothers right here. Different moms, different dads, but these
100%, dude.
These are my family. Like, period.
These guys. The guys on my team with me, whether they're above me in the ranking, I don't like doing the ranking structure, man. Yeah. We're all equals. So the guys that are on the team with me, I hope by now they know, even the new guys know, like, hey, if something ever popped off at home, like, call me. Yeah. My kid can sleep with me, you can sleep on the bed. You know what I mean?
That's awesome, dude.
Or hey, if you need help with something, call me. I'll come help you.
Yeah.
You need picked up, I'll come pick you up.
So in the 10 years, and like we had previously talked about, I don't really want to talk about specific incidents as far as, horrible things, but there's over the past 10 years that you've been doing this, and it's been very, very difficult for law enforcement officers for different events that have happened.
100%. Yeah.
How do you deal with some of those things? And I mean, how do you deal with kind of interacting in the general public, but also it almost goes back to like the television show. Like sometimes you have to show these people like, dude, I'm here to protect you.
Yeah. So
there's still conflict.
That's a very in-depth question, right?
It is.
The city of Fort Pierce is predominantly majority of it's black. Like they're troubled neighborhoods, right? I mean, it's an inner city. We all understand that concept. Luckily, I know people there.
Yeah.
I've played football with people there, against people there. That honestly, that comes in handy.
Yeah.
There's people that I've stopped on the street before, and then they've been like, "Hey, I know who you are. I played against you in high school." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We should start talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Or there's people I see on the street when shit's hitting the fan, and I see them, and I know that I played with them in football. Like whether it was the semi-pro team, and they're just like, "Hey man, what's up?" Like,
yeah, you were the QB.
Hey, I need you to help me get your boys, and I got you, no problem.
Yeah.
So like that helps, but the problem that we run into a lot is the media, dude. Like,
yeah.
So the media, and that's their job. They paint a picture, they run with a story, they make the story hot. They want you to see it, they want you to listen, they want you to read it, right? It's not always accurate when it comes to law enforcement.
Yeah.
But people watch CNN, they watch the news, and they think nationally that's happening everywhere. It's not, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's not. And I interject one thing. I will say I've said this before. I think 2 or 3 other times on other episodes, but it sucks because you get that 2% that everybody hears about, and the other 98% where
so one bad apple doesn't ruin the bunch, man. I try my best to portray that every day. Like, it happens everywhere. We've had a couple guys at my agency that just went the wrong route.
Yeah.
Right. They didn't do anything. They didn't go, and cause harm to anybody just because of the color of their skin or anything like that. But they made some mistakes, whether it was DUI or something like that. Like, we get it. We're gonna follow the law too. We're gonna police our own, so to speak. Don't crucify the guy, but it happens. But then we've had our bad apples where they've taken advantage of people, and those are the ones that annoy me the most.
Yeah,
those are the ones that give us. I don't live and breathe law enforcement. Like, if you didn't know I was a cop and you ran into me on the street, and we were in college together, like, "Hey Dan, what's up? How are you? How you been?" Would you know I was a cop? Like, I try my best not to.
Yeah, no.
When I'm not at work, bro, I'm a family guy, man.
Honestly, dude, when you walked in, I was like, "Yo, this is a dad that still works out."
Yeah,
yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. I'm trying my best. Right.
That's awesome.
Dad bods are here, man.
Exactly.
They're here to stay.
So, so what would you say? And again, probably another little bit of a tougher question, man. When you encounter those particular situations, and like I said, the reason I bring this question up is because I have been around you for a significant amount of time in my younger life, and I kind of know a little bit about you. Obviously, people change a little bit, but like I said, you have that leadership mentality.
Thank you.
How do you feel like if you're ever in a situation where you're in your unit or you're in with your people in your particular office, right, and they're having trouble getting frustrated? Because one thing, I'm betting this, I don't know this for a fact because I don't work where you work, but I guarantee there's some that like, hey, bust your ass every single day trying to do the right thing and make sure they help people. That's literally what you're there for. They get frustrated.
Yeah.
And they get to like, bro, I'm sacrificing this.
Happens to me too, man.
Yeah. How do you handle that stuff? And do you ever step up to try and help any of your other guys deal with that type of thing?
Recently I got promoted to sergeant. So I'm back on road patrol.
Congrats, baby.
Thank you. It's something that I had a goal. Like, I have goals and aspirations. Like I said earlier, I don't like being stagnant, man. So
yeah,
I've done a lot of things in my career. Recently promotion was one of them, and I'm back on road patrol. So I find these younger guys, right? So these younger guys, they want to go out and they want to arrest people, or they want to, clean up the streets, so to speak. And they're not just arresting, Mary driving down the street and she's speeding. Like we're not looking for that, right? There's a good amount of gang violence in Fort Pierce, given how small it is.
Yeah.
And sometimes it stretches down to Martin and West Palm Beach, and I mean, gang members drive, they go places. So, but they want to get in that world, and they get frustrated when they can't, or they struggle to learn that stuff. So, going back to coaching, it's been beneficial to pull them aside and go, hey, what do you want to do? Like, what's your goal here at the agency? X, Y, and Z. Okay, well, hey, I've actually done that. Let me help you get there. Here's some things you want to look for. Do this. Hey, I read your report. Not a bad report. Maybe you want to articulate this a little more. Maybe you want to, go into detail about this. I just pointers, man, and tips, and I'm there to guide them. I'm not there to be their boss. I'm there to work. I'll work alongside them all day long.
Yeah.
And then guide them in the right direction, help them along the way. Same thing on the SWAT team, man. Like, if a new guy's struggling, hey, we'll pull him aside and we'll work with him. I'm not a fan of setting people up for failure.
Yeah.
Some people just can't get it. But I'm not a fan of letting them fail and me not trying, right? So it goes back to the football, the coaching, the wanting to teach. I'm one of the adjunct instructors at our agency. I teach firearms. I'm one of the firearms instructors at the college I graduated from the police academy.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. So the minute I see somebody struggling and they're frustrated, and I talk to them, I try my best to, hopefully I do help them. I try my best to help them. I've been there. We've all been frustrated about something, man. And I try my best to get them through, man. So
that's awesome. What would you say is the most difficult thing that you've encountered over the last, because like I said, over the last 6 years, it's been very challenging, not just for law enforcement, but just for the general public, dude. Like, there's been a lot of different things going back and forth and this and that. What would you say? So what would you say is the most challenging thing, not only in your role, but also in your civilian life? Well, I can't say civilian. It's when you're off duty life.
No, you're good. I'm a civilian when I'm off duty. So, at least in my mind, I am.
Yeah.
I like to hang out.
Eat shit.
Yeah,
I got that right.
I like to hang out and have fun, man. So, the most challenging thing I would say, honestly, in the last almost 7 years, my oldest will be 7 in September. The most challenging for me has been like things that involve children at work.
Yeah.
And that I would have never said that in my life until I had kids.
Yep. 1000% agree with you.
So it made me change the way I look at things, right?
Yeah.
Outside of work, the same thing. Like I don't want to see anything happen to kids, but my wife works in law enforcement. She's at the same agency. She's a detective, so we do a pretty good job of balancing each other out.
Yeah.
I think that's the most. Listen. I've reserved. I'm okay with the fact that I could go to work and not come home. I'm not scared of it. I'm okay with the fact that there's going to come a time or there has been a time where bullets may be flying past me, right?
Yeah.
I can't say it happens. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens, right?
Yeah.
I do my best to compartmentalize that stuff, because I have unfortunately been in that circumstance. So I try to compartmentalize and throw it to the back of my mind. I don't think about it often. My wife's done a pretty good job of just checking on me here and there. But I look for the positives, dude. So like when you ask about like the difficulty inside of work and outside of work, I look at everything like a challenge. That's just how I am, dude.
Yeah,
like,
no, that's good. That's a good mentality to have, man. I think what you said that hits a little bit different. Like you've come to terms with the fact that like I could go to work one day and not come home.
Yeah. So the hardest part is even in a SWAT team or even as a patrol officer is like if I'm making entry into this door, on the other side of the door, you don't know what's there, man.
No clue.
It takes a little bit of a gut check or to grab yourself and going through the door.
This could be it.
Yeah, but honestly, we train well enough that I trust the person next to me.
Yeah.
I trust that they're gonna have my back, and I don't think about it. I'm reserved to that. I'm reserved to that in my mind. Like it is what it is. Yeah. I am not scared of death, to be honest with you. I'm not. You know what I'm scared of? Missing out on my kids.
Yeah.
missing out on my friends, missing out on the fun times. My wife.
That's going to hit a little bit different for people that hear that. No, dude, that's amazing. That's incredible, honestly. And I mean, one of the things that I'll say from a personal standpoint is I've always been a little bit back and forth and like I said, we're a very open forum here. So in case people don't know, like I've had my black card for a while now.
Okay.
I've been one of the homies for
I'll check with Keon.
I'd check with Keon, bro. He's the one that gave it to me 2012, baby. All right. Ain't no doubt about it. But also at the same time, like I've been on different ends of the spectrum when it comes to like everybody that watches the pod knows, bro. I've been arrested many times. Yeah. And it's all majority of the time it's Bruck being a dumbass, doing some dumb shit.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, and it's like, damn. But in that particular situation, I've also seen a lot of scenarios where a lot of times, and 100% of the times for me, when it came to law enforcement and me doing some shit, like, bro, I did some shit. I can't just like, they can't be like, all right.
We all have.
Yeah, like it is what it is. And I think this is where, especially over the last 6 to 7 years, a lot of law enforcement has taken a beating beyond all repair. And this is the stance that I'm going to tell you right now, our podcast takes. I think civilians need to have a more open mind. Understand, we talked about it, 98 and 2%, bro. Like I've encountered probably 1 or 2 officers that have just been assholes. Either they're having a bad day, but it's never been anything horrible. There's
Sometimes
never been
it's a personality thing.
Sometimes personality, it is what it is. The 2%, yes, that shit happens, and it's caught on camera, and the shit sucks. But overall, the one thing I can say first and foremost is 100% of my experience has been, bro, it is what it is. And if you're getting into some shit, you probably got yourself into some shit. Yeah. And it is what it is. Just
most people you talk to that have been arrested are like, yeah, that was a dumb time in my life. Like, yeah, they got me.
And it's funny because I hear it all the time. Like one of the last times I got arrested a little while ago. Maybe not. I don't know. Either way, one of the last times is they were, and it's so funny because every single one that I talked to, every single jail guard, officer, they were like, hey man, yeah, this shit sucks, dude. I don't want to do this to you either.
Yeah, there's times
like it is.
There are times where you're like, I feel for you, but I can't.
Oh yeah,
but I'm not losing my job for something.
That's stupid. The point. Exactly. It's the same thing. I love the fact that you said that. It's the same ideal as any other retail employee. Retail employee is like, hey bro, I know you're my boy, but I can't just give it to you.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
It's the same thing.
I'll do what I can to help.
Yes,
like, I can't.
Especially when you got the ones that are like, and I had a guy named James I used to work with a long time ago. He was a police officer somewhere in Polk County for, I think, like 7 to 10 years, right in that range. And he used to tell us stories. We were sitting down at this old company I used to work for, dude, and it was so funny. He'd tell us the funny stories, and then he would he'd be like, there are some
funny stories.
Yeah, that's actually where we're gonna go next. But he said, no, you had the times where, like, you know, sometimes a little bit easy. And I'm like, yeah? And he goes, yeah, like one time we went to the Chili's, and the homeboy in the back, he knew what time it was. So then he didn't run. He didn't do none of that shit. He came out, he looked at us, and he said, I know why you're here. So he said, can I get 10 minutes? And the guy goes, you gonna run? He said, no, you can follow me. All right, he went to the back. He had a little change of clothes in the back. He turned around, looked at the officer. He handed one of his buddies, handed him $1,000. Said, can I give this to my wife? And he said, I ain't see nothing. And then he said, can I smoke a cigarette? He said, we sat out front with about 10 minutes. He smoked 2 cigarettes. Said, all right, bud, it's time to go. He's like, that coolest thing. Yeah. The moment we got to the jail, he was like, hey man, good word. And it was like, that was a cool experience. It's like, you understand that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I would like to think that there's actually, it's happened. You run into somebody you might have arrested on the street, especially in Fort Pierce, and and they remember you. Like, hey, I remember you.
Yeah.
You gave me a cigarette before you took me to jail. You did X, Y, and Z. Like,
yeah.
I deserve to go to jail, but I appreciate you letting me smoke that cigarette.
Yes.
Like, dude, it happens. It's honestly, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's really not. My brother, bro, if anybody and everybody that's watched it know, my brother's he went to prison. He's been to jail. I think he got arrested like age 16, 18 times. Something like that. He was an addict for a long time, which Jared actually,
bro. It's unfortunate.
It was very unfortunate. He's been clean now for over 4 years.
Good.
So every year, like we've said several times in the pod, he is the token. Keon is not the token black guy, but Chris is the token.
So Keon's the dime? Is that what you're saying?
He is. Him and I are the dimes, and then Chris is the token because he gets a token of sobriety every year.
Well, good for him.
Exactly. So
I hope he gets many more.
That's what I'm saying. So in the first episode, we went over a couple of the different stories, and Jared, it was so funny, man, because we were talking about Jared earlier. He called me, and he was like, bro, I had no idea you were going through all that during the whole time I was going through football. He stole my car. He stole half the shit that I owned. It was a wild.
I didn't know that either. Now
dude, it was wild, man, because when we were in Wisconsin.
You do a good job of not, like, release. I mean, bro, you could have talked to us. We were here.
Dude, you know what?
You could have borrowed my car.
That's probably true. I could have, but it was like, I don't know. You just kind of at that point in time, things have been happening so long in my family, bro. You just get used to it. You're just like, oh fuck, because the cops called me and I was putting a salad together and I was pouring ranch on it. So I'll never forget it. And I picked up the phone and he's like, "Hey, is this Michael Bruck?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "We're gonna need you to. This is so and so with Charlotte County Sheriff's Offices. We're gonna need to speak with you." And I said, "Okay, go ahead." He said, "Do you have time to come in?" And I was like, "No." Yeah, no. He was like,
"What you need?"
He's like, "Where are you?" And I'm in Wisconsin, bro. I've been on a bus since Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Or no, we flew.
Was that Wisconsin? We played Wisconsin that
Wisconsin,
week?
Stevens Point.
Okay.
I was gonna say we were both there. I'm pretty confident.
Fucking game. I hate that game.
Yes, I agree. Because Keon blew his knee out in that game.
Bro, that vividly lives in my mind.
Yes, I remember.
Vividly.
I was on the sideline looking. He was 10 yards away from me, and he stepped back, and it popped out. I'd never heard a man
pretty
scream
sure
like that.
it was like a third or fourth down, and he was on the field,
yes.
and I saw him go down. I'm standing at the white line, like getting ready to go on the field to play. And I see him grab he didn't even grab his knee, bro. He grabbed like his upper thigh.
Yes,
right?
dude.
And I'm like, what the fuck is this guy grabbing? And I'm looking, and I realize it's his kneecap.
Yeah, it's all the way. Nah.
And he's hollering. He's hollering. Those that know Keon's brother played with us as well. He's hollering for his brother.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Hey, offense on the field." And I'm looking around like, man, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
I'm pretty sure I did like the sign of the cross and like gingerly walked out there. Like,
I don't know if he's gonna make
it.
Yeah, dude. So anyway, going back, so some of them stories, like my brother had a couple of those stories, and there was a couple times they came to pick him up from the house and everything, and then I haven't, and he's gonna get mad because he's not able to join us all the time because he's basically almost a construction worker. He builds pool cages.
Okay.
And he works.
I might need to talk to him.
Probably.
My wife wants a pool for some reasons.
Just don't do it.
No, God no.
So he gets mad when I tell the stories, but I told a story in the last podcast when he was in prison. It was funny as shit, bro. He got a bunch of tattoos. I said this 2 episodes ago, but he got a bunch of tattoos in prison. They threw him in isolation, right? But in isolation, you have a bunkmate where he was in Tallahassee, I think. And his buddy was on the vegan diet, and he was just ripping ass the whole time in the cell. And when he walked in, he looked at him, he goes, "Hey," he looked at my brother. It's like, never talked to him before in his life. And he goes, "Hey, I'm sorry, brother, but these are coming out hot." So he had this one story, man. This shit was wild, dude. I don't think we told this one on the pod before, but he was like, he was walking down the street with a girl, and he was jacked up on all kinds of stuff. And it's weird because him and I have a very morbid sense of humor. It's law enforcement, man. As far as you can go, pretty much. We're probably on the same wavelength here. So he's walking down, and he is high. He's going down the middle of this road, and next thing you know, in his mind, he starts seeing a rainbow go to the end of this house.
Okay.
Right? And he's looking at, he's kind of, yeah. So he's looking at it, and he's like, "Bro, this is it. I'm supposed to be here." Right? And the girl's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like walking up, and he just opens the door. And she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "No, I made it. I won. I'm supposed to be here." Right? So she's like, "Chris, what the fuck are you doing?" And he goes into the house, right? His version, he tells me, he walks around the whole bottom of the house. He goes upstairs. He opens the bedroom door, sees a guy sleeping. And goes over and wakes him up. And the guy's like, what the fuck? Right? He starts freaking out. And Chris is like, I made it.
I made it.
I'm here. Right? And it looks like he said, I won. Where's my money? Right? And the guy's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm going to call the police. Straight up. Chris goes, call him. I'll be on the couch. Where's my money? Right? It's like, I made it. Where's the gold? So he goes downstairs. He sits down, bro. The guys call the cops. There's like 2 officers that show up. The girl took off. Right? And the officer comes up. He's like, because everybody in that town knew who he was by that point.
Yeah.
He'd been arrested so many times. So he's like, Chris? And he's like, hey, what's up, man? I made it. I made it. And I told him, I'm waiting for the gold. I'm waiting for my money. And he's like, Chris, do you know where you are? And then I'll never forget it, bro. The way my brother's face does it is he's like, oh, shit. And the cop's like, dude, just looking at him. And Chris is like, yo, I think I need help.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, it happens, man.
Yeah. And the cop literally looked at it. He said, no, I'm going to go with you. I'm sorry. And they just left. And they booked him, took him in. I think he went through like a 72-hour detox.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I asked him, it's so funny. When
probably a Marchman Act.
Something. I'm not too familiar with the language, but I'll never forget it. Right after that, I said, oh, damn, that was the last time you used drugs? Chris goes, fuck no, bro. I got high as shit for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, we see it, man. Like there's it's trends though. It goes in trends. Like
yes,
I don't know what year that was, but there's probably a certain drug that was popular that year.
Oh, he was really big on the prescription stuff.
Yeah,
I don't want to get too into detail.
No, you're good. How old is he?
He is now 36.
Yeah, so probably like.
Yes.
Yeah. So
matter of fact,
it goes in waves. I'm telling you, it's like an era. It's like an era thing.
So he was once again partying with some awesome dudes, fantastic human beings, and they tattooed just say bleep that out, Lauren, right there, and then put under there on his a homemade tattoo, and it was funny.
You still have it, or did you get it covered?
No, he got all that removed.
He got it removed.
He did. For him. He had it laser removed. But he also, while he was in prison, though, he got a ton of prison tattoos. And we actually, in our 3rd or 4th episode, we did an interview with a guy I went to school with. Is now a super awesome tattoo artist, like nationally renowned. And they're building in Bradenton, Florida, Sacred Arts Tattoo. Amazing artist, bro. That's where I got all my shit done.
Nice. Looks
so.
Good.
We went there and we've shot 2 podcasts with them. And Mike, my artist, he looks at it and he goes, honestly, bro, this for prison tats, it's pretty good.
Yeah, right?
Right? And he was
actually,
like,
the guy that did my sleeve owns a shop down the street from me back home. He's done all my tattoos. His name's Joe. He was in prison. That's where he got started.
That's awesome.
And he's a phenomenal artist, man.
Right?
Phenomenal guy. Phenomenal guy.
Dude.
Was in prison for the worst thing you could possibly think of. But phenomenal guy, right? So, yeah, dude. I'm glad your brother's doing well.
Yes, yeah. We're all glad. Whenever he gets a chance to show up, it's a pretty awesome time because his brain, as I say this is a joke, but his brain stopped developing after he started. So he's got this like 19-year-old mentality. And he'll start rambling off some weird shit. He'll be like, "Yo, that reminded me of the shit from Rick and Morty, like this and that." But praise Jesus.
Great show though.
Yeah. So, dude, it's it's pretty hilarious. So let's convert over, dude. What is some of the funniest stories that you've got,
dude? I have there's a bunch. I can't talk about all of them.
Yeah. Just anything.
Most recently, I will say, while I was a sergeant on the road. There was a female that was, just super high on. In today's day and age, it's a lot of Molly, right? So Molly went from pure ecstasy, like pure bliss, to now it's like bath salts, right? It's getting cut with whatever anybody knows, whatever they can cut it with.
Tide Pods.
Yeah, dude, and it's that generation is coming to work for us too. So be careful. But she was butt naked, which is a common symptom of excited delirium, meaning your heart's going a little too fast. You might die. But I guess she like not kicked in the door, but she broke into this guy's house that she knew, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, "Hey, can I use your phone?" He's like, "Why the fuck are you naked?"
Yeah.
But he's like, "Yeah, use the phone, whatever." He's an older guy, and he said that she was like, "Hey, fuck me," and he's like, "No." So there was like an argument there, and then she leaves the house and apparently goes across the street to where there was like a Uber Eats guy delivering food, and she jumps in his car like butt naked, and she's like, "Fuck me," and he's like, "Get the fuck out of my car," and she's like, "Fuck me," and he's just like, "I'm delivering food," and so the call comes in, my group of guys get there, and she's just wandering around, just screaming obscenities and telling my guys to fuck her. And at one point, I guess she lays on her back and grabs some dirt and starts rubbing it against herself.
Oh shit!
And she must have really liked one of my guys there.
Yeah.
She got up and she was like fixated on him, and they ended up having to just like, pull her to the ground, put her in handcuffs, and then put her in the back of an ambulance, take her to the hospital. Obviously, there's something drug-induced going on, and they ended up, Marchman acting her or whatever they did, Baker Act.
Yeah.
And the hospital gave her, I guess she had to take like 5 or 6 shots of ketamine in the ambulance before she actually knocked out. Like you could hear in the background on the radio, like saying like obscene stuff, dude.
Really?
Like, yeah. And in hindsight, it's fucking hilarious.
It is. It's horrible.
But at the time I was like, this sucks. Thank God I wasn't there.
So the cool thing is about it, and like I said, I have room to talk because I've lived around it like from the time I was like under 10, right? So legit, bro. It after the fact. Usually when it's like 2 months after the fact, that's when it's allowed to be funny.
Yeah.
And it's like you're at that point.
SWAT wise, like we've like hit houses, like dudes are in the middle of like touching themselves.
Oh my God.
Like video still playing on their phone. Or there's like before my time, but it gets talked about routinely, is flashbangs, right? So flashbangs go off, they light sound, it kind of brings people to that.
Yeah.
One got thrown deep in the room,
and
it blew the guy's pants off. Like that's one of the funny ones they talk about.
Shit.
But so one of the ones when I was in narcotics, we were working undercover for a while.
Yeah.
I was attached to DEA.
Wow.
And we hit a house, and this dude must not have known we were there banging on the door, right?
Yeah.
So we make entry. This dude comes out of his bedroom, just fully erect, and you're like, just like, "Sorry to do this, buddy, but I'm gonna need that hand, and you're gonna have to be in handcuffs, right?" So phone's still going,
yeah,
right? And then there's like a
oh shit!
I don't want to say plastic, but there's like a soft tissued figure of maybe a female's, like if her legs were cut, and then like
he had the pocket.
Oh, it wasn't a pocket. Like
Yeah,
he had
it was the full
gelatin thing, right?
Oh
So
my God, dude.
this was a while, like years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say who it was. It was me or not, but
don't worry about that.
He's in handcuffs on the couch. And we're all cool, man. We're all just like laid back, like, hey, listen, it's all a game to us. Like, hey, we got you this time. Next time we won't. Next time we might. You never know. And that's the way I look at it. That kind of helps. But he's sitting on the couch, and the hallway's right in front of him, and we were in his back bedroom, and the guys. I was there, so I can't say I wasn't there. That's how I know the story.
That's how I know the story.
Certain people may have been tossing it back and forth. They had gloves on. We're searching stuff. We're like, oh, what the fuck is? Oh man, I know what this is. And then you just kind of like, hey, catch. And this guy's like, catch, and then bowls it down the hallway, and then lands on the guy's feet, and he's just like, fuck, man.
Damn it.
And my lieutenant at the time was like, what the fuck is that? Like, just there's no, and then
you have no idea. It's like, don't worry about it.
There's times where like it's so fun, and then there's times where you're like, fuck, I got to deal with this.
Yeah,
but, dude, I love it, man. I don't live and eat and breathe it, man. It's a job at the end of the day, but I wouldn't trade it, man. Definitely happy I went that route.
Like you said, I think to clarify more on that, I think it's like you said, it's the family you create with the guys that you work with.
100%,
That's
man.
what makes
don't like saying this. I have a brother. He's like 9 years younger.
Yeah.
And I love him to death. But there are some of my people that I'm around constantly that they are my brother. I'll do whatever they need me to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
no, that's good shit, man. That's great shit. So going to the second segment, man. So what is, obviously we've gone through a little bit of your career. You've had some undercover stuff. You've had SWAT stuff. You've been a patrol officer. You've done it all for years now, man. So you've been in the shit, right? Even for going all the way back at collegiate athlete, all that stuff. What would you say is a bad decision that turned out to be the best thing that happened?
Ooh, that's a great question, right? So, dude, I can go way back. Like way back. So, high school, getting recruited for football.
Yeah.
Right. So I kind of missed most of my senior season of baseball, because of the recruiting game for football.
Yep.
And again, my grades weren't that great, man. I had 4 different coaches in my 4 years of high school. Recruiting was tough, but it fucking happened. Right.
Yeah.
I had a girlfriend still in high school, dude. And I can't wait till my kids are old enough. And I have 3 boys, so I hope all of them are athletes. Even if they were girls, I hope they're athletes.
Yeah.
And I hope that I can one day provide them with my experiences and information so that they can make the best decision for them.
Yeah.
I hope they're better athletes than I ever was, by all means. But I don't want to call it a mistake, because if it wasn't for this mistake, I wouldn't be where I'm at. But I made the decision to stay in Florida because my girlfriend was still in high school at the time.
Yeah.
And
we're talking 18, 17. All right. That's what we're talking about, the age group.
Yeah, the age group, not the year. I'm not that
Don't
old.
get all fucking nasty here.
Yeah. So I was, and I'm younger. I was 17 at the time I made this decision.
Yeah.
I didn't turn 18 till I turned, my birthday's in July. So like, like mini camp, like for college,
Yeah.
like I turned 18. I was like, this is a new fucking world, dude.
Damn, dude. It was.
So I made the decision to stay in the state. And at the time, the only place in the state that was going to give me a scholarship was Weber.
Yeah.
Jacksonville wanted me to come there, but they weren't providing a scholarship. At the time, they didn't provide scholarships. It was some kind of grant which went on academics.
Yeah.
So I would say, and I don't like saying mistake, because I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't be in law enforcement. I don't know where I would be in life right now.
So
you know what I mean?
Same thing. Like, we call it a bad decision that turned out to be the best thing. So The Rock is someone that I've heard say this, the best thing that never happened. With, you know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
It's not a mistake at all. Just, you could say, a decision that turned out to be phenomenal. Wasn't the best decision at the time. But
well, my girlfriend from high school, we dated for about a little over a year. And this is how I met Jared, being at Weber.
yeah.
And listen, let me say this right now and get it out of there. Everyone has their high school sweetheart, right?
Yes.
So even people that I didn't date or weren't necessarily friends with in high school, I may be friends with them on social media.
Yeah.
And I'm super pumped. It makes me so happy to see them successful.
Yeah.
To see their kids, their families. Like, I enjoy all that, dude. So like, shout out to those people, because I am truly, truly grateful that we were friends or knew each other in high school, and you have a beautiful family. You have all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I went to Weber. I stayed in the state of Florida. I had some options to go outside of the state, for football.
Yeah.
And, I stayed in the state, so I was close to home, right? Because that 3 inches of real estate at 17-year-old will rule the world, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I did, yeah. And then maybe like I correlate everything to football. Maybe 3 games into the season, my freshman year.
Yeah.
We split up. We broke up. She actually broke up with me, man. And I remember being like kind of butthurt about it, right?
Dude. I mean, at the time though, like, bro, I based this decision on you.
100%.
Like, I think
100%.
the right angle to be butthurt for at least approximately 7 to 10 business days.
Oh, it wasn't even that long.
Yeah.
And here's why. So
there was other butt.
I ended up talking to I ended up talking to like Corey. So Corey Johns was another quarterback at Weber.
Yeah.
And him and I got pretty tight just because we're quarterbacks, right? So I ended up talking to him about it, and he was tight with Jared and Braxton and Ryan. And I ended up talking to those guys about it. Like, hey, you guys ever had to deal with this? Like, how's this happen?
Yeah.
Turns out she I think she was seeing somebody when I went to school.
Yeah.
Which, congrats to them. They're still together, right?
Hey, there you go.
Dude,
it worked
congrats.
out.
Beautiful family. She like runs some interior design, and her dad builds the houses for her. They're extremely successful. Like,
great.
Can't congratulate them more.
Yeah.
So I remember like sulking for like maybe 2 days.
Yeah.
Maybe. And it was, Weber didn't have school on Wednesdays.
Yes,
so like Tuesday and Friday nights were like the nights. Well, in season, Tuesday nights and like Saturday nights, right?
Yeah.
So it was like a Tuesday night. I don't know where the fuck we went. I don't know what the fuck. I don't remember what the fuck we did. Part of that's CTE. But I remember being in my dorm room with Thomas Pitt, who I played with in high school.
Yes.
And Willie Riley from Fort Myers.
I remember Willie.
And I'm half asleep laying in my bed. It was probably 9 o'clock at night. And these fucking dudes, Jared kicked my door open, essentially.
Yeah.
And like basically flipped the mattress and pulled me out of bed and was like, hey, get dressed. And I'm like in like shorts.
Yeah.
That's it. Just shorts.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, get the fuck out of bed. We're going out. I go, where the fuck we going? He's like, don't worry about it. Get out of bed. We got beer in the car. We're leaving. And I go, okay, like, sure.
Whatever, dude.
Honestly, that was probably the first time I've like drank I didn't drink much. I had one beer in high school. One beer, and that was after prom.
I did not drink at all until I got to college.
I had one beer after prom my senior year, and that's only because I was so fucking busy with sports, dude.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the time.
Yeah.
But shout out to Jared for that downward spiral. So
yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah, if I had to say the worst thing that happened in my life to get me to where I'm at, that turned out pretty good. It was that. Like I would have never been to Weber. You and I would have never met.
That's correct.
I would have never played with just good, solid dudes, man. Like Mike, you had Mike on the pod a few episodes ago. Rossi, who just won a bunch of money playing poker.
He did. He banked almost $200K at the Triton Series in London.
Good for him.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Dude, I love seeing it, man. Good
I
for
know,
him,
bro.
Man.
It was so funny you brought him up, man, because I don't know if you watched that pod, bro. There was a story that came out in a short of it where Rossi and I had gotten into a fight in the dorm room.
I had no idea about it.
Oh God, dude, I'll never forget it because Bailey and Brewer, do you remember Bailey?
Mm-hmm.
Bailey and Brewer were holding me back, and this dude was just unloading on my face.
That's not fair.
It wasn't at all.
Are we gonna put on gloves and do it again?
Dog, no, absolutely not. I'm way too old for that shit. And the sad part is, like, my daughter takes after me way more than my son. Not that I'm talking shit about him.
No, you're good, dude. My oldest is a little soft like my wife.
My son's very soft.
My middle child, Maverick, well, he fucking lives up to his name, but Grayson's my oldest and Maverick's my middle child, and then we have a 5 or 6 month old now, Riker.
Yeah.
But Maverick, dude, is me.
Yeah.
Personality wise, he looks just like my biological father.
Yeah.
But he gave his older brother a fat lip a few months ago. Like, he's me, dude. Just piss and vinegar.
So that's Avery. If she ever saw me doing something like that, exact same thing. She'd be
great
like,
name, dude.
She would look at me and be like, "Fuck yeah, let's do this."
Yeah.
It's like, no, we can't do that. However, I will say this: the final closure to that story with Rossi was so funny, dude. I was laying in bed that night and I was hot. I was still pissed, and it was my fault, dude. I was being butthurt about some bullshit. And
was it Madden?
No, I think it was Halo.
Okay, even worse.
Probably Madden at some point too. I probably just had a rough day in the video games, and
that was big, man. The competitiveness of us
God,
went from off the field to in the locker room to then was like, fuck it, I'll beat you in Madden. Come on.
I know, dude. And it was like, dude, I was sensitive as fuck when I lost back then too. I really was, dude. I'll just say it right up front, dude. I was a total pussy whenever I lost in certain things, and I would get all butthurt about certain things. But I remember that day he just came in and said the wrong thing, and it was funny because Rossi's reputation, bro, all he did was talk shit.
Yeah,
and he was good at it.
He's very good at it.
Very good at it. So I was like, man, just 3 days, and I'll never forget it. He looked at me, he's like, all right, bro, I'll give you 3 days. I was like, fuck you. We started going at it. And we were laying in bed that night, dude. It was so funny. And Bailey, he gave me the best advice I'd ever heard in my life. He's like, hey, bro, dude, all you can do is look forward to tomorrow. Yes, you overreacted. and everything escalated, and it sucks. But number one, everyone in this room, Rossi, no one's gonna give a shit.
No one
gonna
cares.
be cool. We're gonna go to breakfast. We're gonna sit and chill. We're gonna have a great time, and it's, you know what I mean, dude. No one fucking cares.
Yeah,
and I'm like, thanks, Rossi. And he's like, all right. I said, thanks, Bailey. And he goes, Rossi did beat your ass. Dude, it was the funniest shit. So we got to wrap. Unfortunately. I don't want to because
no, you're good, bro.
This is a recent gift from Ash right here. See this? This is fat Thanos with the Infinity Stones in there.
Dude, I don't think I could. It wouldn't fit my wrist.
It doesn't fit mine at all. Like,
I just mean like the face, man. I like it.
Yeah, it's fucking humongous. But I'm a huge Marvel fan. In case anybody hasn't known that yet, but she got this for me as a gift, and I've been wanting. I don't want to
awesome.
take. Yes, so
you don't take the plastic off the thing.
Not yet,
dude. I'm the same way.
Yeah, I'm like,
bro.
Dude,
I bought a truck. I don't know, 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and it had the little thing on the screen. I wouldn't take it off for like a year.
Yes.
Eventually, my wife got in the truck and peeled it off, and I wasn't there. I was like, "You son of a bitch,
dog." So, when you pulled up, do you see those Broncos out front?
Yeah.
So I just ordered the white one. The white one has 1,000 miles on it.
Nice,
it's brand new.
Very nice.
Right. So, and the blue one is a 2022. So I ordered that one 3-4 years ago. Mm-hmm. It came in 2 years later. But anyway,
fuck COVID.
Same thing. It's plastic still on both of them.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man.
So
I'm OCD, dude.
Exactly. So anyway, going through, man. One of our final segments is brought to you by Joe's Backyard Smokehouse. It is our spice of the week, right? I know we kind of covered a little bit, and for people that are dumb as shit and don't watch this podcast all the time, which they fucking should, make sure you guys subscribe right now.
I agree.
But the objective, spice of the week, tell us something that made your week a little bit better or something that puts your week on an all-time high level. Basically, the idea, let's focus on a little bit more positives in our life. So I'll give you 2 examples. Number one, Keon had one where he was actually shopping at the Rural King in Lake Wales, Florida, because he still lives in Lake Wales.
Does he?
Yes.
Good for him.
So, good for him.
That takes a lot of dude, I love Lake Wales. It's a nice, old, beautiful city.
Yes.
But certain parts of it, dude, is like,
no,
there's nothing there.
Just no.
Just orange groves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's walking around Rural King, and he was checking out, and this old dude looked at me and said, it was about Christmas time. And he goes, "You're not done shopping for Christmas, are you?" And he said, "Yeah, dude. You see all this stuff?" And the dude slipped him $100 and said, "Come on," because he had a son with him. And he goes, "Come on, bro. They're only gonna be young for a little while. Just go do it."
Good for him, bro.
And that was like, hit him up for the whole week.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of other examples that I had one time that really helped my week out. Like, I was kind of having a bullshit week, and I couldn't sleep one night, and it was like 1:30 in the morning. I came out in the kitchen, and I was just like, man, what the fuck? And then right there on the counter, I saw this box of Lucky Charms, and I made the most delicious bowl of cereal I've ever consumed in my life.
Dude.
And that late night snack just kind of fucking hit. And then 2 days later, it's like Friday, and I'm like, yeah, bro, but that cereal was delicious.
Is Lucky Charms your go-to?
Not usually.
What is it?
I'm kind of ashamed to say it.
Come on.
Fucking Kicks.
Kicks?
Yes.
Kicks.
Yes.
Of all the cereals out there, you choose Kicks.
The OGs, bro.
You just forego Fruity Pebbles.
Now I will say this: Fruity Pebbles is definitely a fucking top 3. If you want right now, we can rank cereals right now before we do the spice of the week.
Yeah. Well, spice of the week sounds great. I love barbecue.
Yeah.
Give me the cereal game.
Okay, so fine.
Give me your top 3.
Top 3 cereals. All right. Here we go.
Don't tell me you're the guy that says like all Skittles taste the same too.
Fuck no.
All right, just
they
making sure.
do not, bro.
Right, I'm just making sure.
There's 2 different ways you eat Skittles. Number one, you go one at a time.
Yep.
Or you grab every single different color at one time and toss
handfuls,
them for the handfuls.
Yeah.
That's the only 2 ways you can eat Skittles. So, top cereals, right?
This is tough, dude.
It is.
Dude, you go from like the bootleg brands are pretty good.
Yes.
That come in the bags, like those are pretty good.
I'm telling you right now, number 1, Count Chocula.
Really?
Yes. Or not number 1, sorry, number 3.
Okay.
Number 3 is going to be Count Chocula. Right? Now, my list is going to be a little bit different from the original late night cereal Kicks, okay? Because that's my late night one. I'm a little specific. As everybody knows, I'm an XL type dude. I got very specific food groups that I like to consume at different times. So don't fucking judge me.
My food group is mainly alcohol when I'm not working.
I like that. That's good. It's quality. So the Count Chocula, or if you go to Walmart, it comes in the giant fucking bag, the chocolate Lucky Charm type cereal.
Yep.
That's my number 3.
Oh, I'm familiar, dude. I'm deep in the cereal game.
I was going to say, let's do this, bro.
Deep in the cereal game.
So number 2, I am definitely going to grind on that, the Fruity Pebbles game.
Oh, yeah.
That is definitely a solid number 2 of all time. It was super delicious. And my all-time number 1, and I go back and forth on 3 different boxes, but with every single one of these boxes, it's either number 1 or it's out. That's how it is for me, which is why I have the other 2, because the other 2 are my solid go-tos. No matter what I see it, I'm like, oh, you're going in the cart.
Yeah.
There's zero doubt. So my number 1 of all time probably be Honey Nut Cheerios. That would probably be the game.
That is low key one of the best cereals there is.
Thank you.
Low key, like not only is it like just genuine,
yes,
it also lowers your cholesterol per the box, but it's just I mean, you can't go wrong with Honey Nut Cheerios.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't disagree with you. That's in my top 3. That's probably my 3rd though.
That's fantastic.
But they flip flop, right?
Yeah.
So
right now, what do you got? Top 3.
Man, Honey Nut Cheerios right now at this point would probably be 4 on my list.
Okay.
So 3, and this is a hard toss up. 3 is probably Frosted Flakes. That's a staple in my house right now.
That's dope, bro.
That's a staple. Whether it's the bootleg Frosted Flakes or the ones with Tony the Tiger on it.
Yes.
It is a staple in my house.
Because the bootleg ones, I don't care what anybody says, they taste just as good.
The same thing. It's just a different name.
That's it.
Like Fruit-O's is Fruit Loops or whatever,
exactly.
right? So 1 and 2 go back and forth for me. And it just depends on the time of, this is going to sound weird, the time of year.
Okay.
Right? So winter months, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, all those months, I like a good, hearty, like sits in me, keeps me warm kind of thing. And I go Reese's Pieces.
Dog, fuck.
Like that's one
of my
the
number
Reese's
ones
Pieces
that I
cereal.
rotate.
I know that's not the name of it, is it? Reese's Pieces?
No,
that's
it's
the
Reese's
small.
cereal.
Yeah.
Yes, no, Reese's Puffs. Excuse
Reese's
me.
Puffs, thank you.
That is one of my rotating ones, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And then Fruity Pebbles for me is that spring.
That's a guaranteed number 1 all the time.
100%, dude. They go back and forth.
Nice.
That's you put a thing of Fruity Pebbles or Reese's Puffs in front of me and I'm going to tear it up.
Bro, not all after we have all the vodka and club soda, then you have fucking Reese's Puffs.
Oh, the best thing about Reese's Puffs, the milk afterwards.
Yes. Thank you, bro.
First of all, those that leave milk in their bowls after cereal and don't drink it you're fucking weird.
No, you fucking
you
deserve
weird
to go to prison.
And I can't trust anybody. Just like I can't trust anybody that leaves their TV on like volume 27. Like odd numbers are weird, dude. Don't do that.
Absolutely not. So as a matter of fact, let me see where we're at. If I remember this.
12, bro. You're good.
Come on, bro. See? I already know.
Even numbers, bro.
I know my TV. So let's switch it over. Do you want me to go first for Spice of the Week?
Go ahead. Mine's generic. Mine's so generic because it works every time.
I feel you. So my Spice of the Week would probably have to be it's going to be a little bit unique for a lot of people, but booking podcasts. So the reason why I say booking podcasts is one of the things that we do, especially with this, because this is a business that we're trying to grow and we want to be a huge entity. If you guys heard the dreams that we had on it, you all would say that we're insane, but we don't give a fuck. We're going to get there one day. So we have been reaching out to tons and tons of people and we want to get different stories. Like we said, we want to get your story when higher end, if you want to say like more celebrity types. Absolutely. But we also want to stick to the small person a little bit, tell their end of the world, what it's like to be in that person's shoes,
Absolutely.
And the other day I got a hit back from, we just released one with Brendan Kelly, the American Ninja.
Yep.
And
I saw that one. Sweet mustache, by the way.
Dude, he had a fucking sick stash, bro.
I wish I could grow it. Not only do I wish I could grow it, I wish work would allow me to have it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting with him and I'm messaging him back and forth and we're just, having a good time, whatever. And a couple other guys that we have now set up in December, there's now 3 to 4 different fighters that we're going to be sitting and interviewing in Providence, Rhode Island. And then right after that, we're actually going to Boston and we're interviewing. He's like an ultimate. You ever hear of those ultimate fans in the NFL? They show up in all the gear.
Yes,
those are the ones
like
that
the Raiders fans.
Yes, like the Raiders fan. The Bucks has a couple of them, but they get invited to the draft every year.
Go Dolphins.
Yeah, go Dolphins. Dog shit. Better than Carolina right now. Whatever. We're not going to talk about it, but I'm realistic with myself. So those totally forgot where I was going. Where are we at?
No, you're good. You booked 4 guys.
Yeah. So anyway, booked the 4th guy in Boston. He's a super fan there, and he's got fucking courtside seats for like 20 games a year at home. And I'm like, dude, number one, how do you afford this?
For real.
And
I go through that like every day.
Yeah.
Which cartel do you work for? I want in.
Exactly. So we get done with this whole day, and next thing you know, I've booked 5 podcasts with all these people that all together have like 2 to 3 million followers. And you just start having conversation with these people, and you're like, by the end of the day, you're sitting down and you're like, fuck, dude. Like, yeah, like it's happening. Like we're
Such
doing
a good feeling.
Yeah, we're doing the dream, baby. And we're like having a good time doing
exactly what you thought about, exactly what you planned, exactly what you put down as your goals.
Yes.
Whether you wrote it on paper, you I'm a big envision guy. Like,
yes.
I picture goals, right? I picture what I'm going to do. I picture things ahead of time. Same thing with football. I used to envision certain plays going down and throwing touchdowns or running them. I used to envision all that shit.
Yep.
And I didn't realize how big it was with goal making and goal setting and goal achieving until I got to a certain age. Mm-hmm. So that's fucking awesome to hear, dude. I'm super pumped for you.
That's what I'm saying, bro. It was dope. It was very dope. So when we got that kind of put me on a whole new level for the rest of the week. And to be honest, at work, I had a lot of fucking horrible things happen. And there's some, bullshit that always happens and this and that. And the whole time I was just like, bro, I don't care. Like, because honestly, this is going in the direction I want it to go. We made some big steps. We're going to move forward. We're going to have to take some steps back. Some shit's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Bro.
But we're going to find ourselves a year, 2 years from now, all of a sudden we're 5 steps past the step we just got. So it's like, damn, it's like watching it happen.
There's yeah, dude, that's awesome. So I go back to when I was my mom, pretty young. I learned to be independent pretty young, right?
Yeah.
Just to put it out there, plain and simple. Mm-hmm. And one thing that always resonated was no matter how hard it gets, you keep your head down and you keep putting one foot in front of the other. You will get there. Yeah. Like goal wise. And I'm super pumped and happy to see you do that, dude. That's awesome. That's awesome. Get out of the job you're doing that you don't like, and eventually you can chase this dream and run with it.
Exactly. That's the idea.
And I got all the faith that I know you're going to run with it.
Fucking A, baby. I'm not crying. Are you crying? You should.
And men don't cry. I learned that at a young age too. My wife's. I don't think my wife's ever seen me cry. I don't cry.
Yeah, I don't know if Ash has ever seen me cry either. I don't think so. Well, there's been a couple nights I blacked out. You never know. Remember, I was sensitive. I might have gotten a little emotional.
There were some times so bye weeks, right? Bye weeks and off season. Jared and I used to go.
Yeah.
We used to know someone, girl or boy. We used to know someone.
Yeah.
At every university in the state of Florida and up the East Coast a little bit.
Yeah. So
come bye weeks or the off season. Mm-hmm. During the weekends, we'd be at those schools for the weekend partying it up, man. And there's some blackout moments. Like he doesn't let me live at Gainesville. I was like just knocked out, just passed out on top of one of those big green like electrical boxes. Just like
listen,
dude, it happens,
bro.
Oh, it happens, yeah.
So tell me, man, what you got? What you got for your spice of the week, my brother?
So just mine's super simple, dude. Like I when I say I live, I could take an IV right now of just straight coffee, right?
Yeah.
And I like my coffee like I like my men, kind of like Keon, like hot, strong, and black.
Yes.
Right? So I get coffee routinely throughout the day.
Yeah.
Usually I bring it to work in the morning, and then in the afternoon I'll go get something. And what brightens my day every day, and you don't get it a lot in Fort Pierce, you don't get it a lot in St. Louis, it's prevalent everywhere.
Yeah.
But you don't get it too much. But what brightens my day routinely is I walk in there and someone's like, "Thank you for your service. I got you." And I don't like hearing "thank you for your service." Like I chose to do this. Yeah. It's not a service.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate the coffee. Thank you. And they'll buy the coffee. Now I leave the cost of the coffee. I'll live as a tip.
Yes.
For the employee.
Yeah.
But it just brightens my day, man.
You get
just hey man, there is positivity in the world. No matter what, there's positivity in the world, And you just got to engulf yourself in that. On those tough days, sometimes I go home and crawl in bed with my kids, like to say goodnight. I'll lay with one of them, or I'll take turns laying with all of them, minus the baby. The baby's the baby. I can't crawl in the crib. My fat ass will break it. But you know what I mean? So that's probably the big thing, dude. It's just like something as simple as a coffee.
Yeah.
It just makes you go, man, there is nice people out there.
That's awesome, dude.
Because in law enforcement, you got to think about it. Everybody we run into for work on a call wise, it's probably their worst time of their life at that moment.
Yes. I think that's a big realization that people tend to forget. But it's just, once again, I go back to the same reference. I use that job and I try to relate it to sometimes when I've come to the defense of police or law enforcement, anything you want to call it, whatever it is. It's the same thing as a retail employee. You know what I mean?
100%.
Because you run in and, like, here's a good example. Like so we recently did a trip and we had to rent a car, right? How many people rented a car that day?
Hundreds, I guarantee it.
300 people, right? That dude rented 300 cars that day, but I only rented one.
Yep.
When you respond to a call, that one person is having the one worst day of their lives.
Yeah.
But you're doing it 5-6 times a day.
More than that.
Yeah, and
way more than that.
That's what I'm saying.
But we're not. We don't hold judgment. I can speak of this as a whole. Law enforcement is a whole judgment, dude. Yeah. Like, we have our worst times just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, sometimes people's worst is we're getting called to deal with, and sometimes that's the worst case scenario, which is jail. Sometimes it's just they need somebody to talk to, and we'll sit there and chat with you as long as we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the biggest thing is people don't understand is law enforcement's not jaded. Like all right, it happens over time, maybe.
Yeah.
But we know that the people we deal with, it's the worst time of their life. At that point, at that moment, that is the worst thing that's happening to them.
Yeah.
Or the best. Exactly. Sometimes it's the best thing.
Yeah.
And where the problem is, or the disconnect is, you get this Tide Pod generation that just stayed in their little bubble eating Tide Pods.
Yeah.
And they don't know the different cultures.
No. God.
So excitement is portrayed differently than some. And just there's a disconnect, but once they learn and figure it out, man, it's awesome.
Yeah. So to kind of wrap things up, guys, like, make sure next time, and this is another, like I said, one of the best human beings that I've ever met in my entire journeys.
Dude, I appreciate it.
Which I've been across the world, man. I've met thousands of fucking people, and I've partied with thousands of you. There's no doubt about it. But this was a story I wanted to get on, and like I said, I didn't want it to be all down and dirty in the dumps the entire time. But I also want every single one of you to get in touch with a little bit of reality sometimes there's bad rap comes on when you're talking about law enforcement, you're talking about this, but I have quite a few friends that are in this industry, and they're human beings at the end of the day. And you hear some of the stories this guy's telling, man, and it's like you go out there and you do your absolute best, and sometimes you get shit on for it. Matter of fact, a lot of times you get shit on for it because of the job you chose. And you know what? If you hear them, they're human beings, and a lot of them pretty fucking cool people. So I think if we kind of also adjusted and looked internally, held ourselves accountable for some things, held accountability in the right areas, I think we'd see the development of our relationship when it comes to law enforcement in our entire country. I think we'd see that go in a very steady incline.
100%. I don't disagree with that one bit, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah.
On the pod. It's been awesome. I've never done one of these, so I'm super fortunate to say that I've done one. And it's good. It's really good to see and catch up. But to touch on what you said, man, is the community as a whole. A lot of them get it. A lot of them understand. A lot of them know we're just human.
Yeah.
Mistakes happen, right? For everyone.
Yeah.
And then you have that small faction that thinks opposite, and sometimes they think they're perfect. But it is what it is, dude. So we're all humans at the end of the day. We all have families that we all want to go back to.
Yep.
We're not bad guys, I promise.
Yeah.
Like you see me out at the bar, man, I'll probably buy you a drink and a shot. Just
yes.
Say, hey, mention the pod, and then I can text Mike about it, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So you guys, before you log off, make sure you guys subscribe, comment. The biggest thing I want you to do is I want you to go in there in the comment section, write down your fucking spice of the week. Don't be a pussy. Go down there and write it down. okay? Because we want to know what your guys' spice of the week is. We want to engage with you as an audience. So let us know what's made your week a little bit better, or even if you don't have anything positive to say, write it in there, and we'd love to message you personally to see if we can chat with you and help you out a little bit. So we love you guys. We appreciate you. Deuces.
Two dimes and a token. Do you make love